Hannah, and I'm going to take you through reports on your Scribe Lite account. So there are lots of reports within Scribe Lite, and you can play and have a look at them. Running reports will obviously not amend anything. It's just different ways of looking at data. So do have a play around with them. And once you've added some information in, you can find out which ones work for you well. But the main ones in the system, if we start with the summary report, under summary reports, this will show you your actuals versus your budget. So it's really useful report to come and see the current decision, what's happening against it. If you haven't yet added any budgets in, do take a look at the adding budget video so you can come and put that information in against the codes. Obviously, once you've added some transactions in, that will populate the actual figures, and then you can come in here to see the variances against each of these. So your receipts on the left-hand side at the top, and then your payments over here on the right, and you can see that information. The summary report will run automatically as at today's date. If you go into the filter, you can select a date range. We'd always recommend that you run from the 1st of April so that it's cumulative, but you can choose a month-end date. So if you had everything into the end of September, for example, and wanted to produce a half-year point, you could put the 1st of April to the 30th of September in there. Once you make any changes in any filters, and they will differ depending on which report you're in, so do have a look at the filter options that you do have. Once you've added that information in, you would just click View Report to update it. Once you're in a situation where you have a report that you wish to produce, you can print it just by simply clicking that printer icon, or you can go to Actions up in the top right-hand corner, which will allow you to download it. You can do it as a PDF, so exactly like it does on the screen. Excel, again, like it does on the screen, but actually in Excel, so you then could potentially annotate or add some comments to it. Although do be aware that if you download into Excel, the formatting is relatively complex due to the way it looks on the screen, and no formulas are retained. So if you deleted any lines or columns, for example, you would have to reformula what you'd remove because it wouldn't automatically update. And then finally, you also have the option to share. So if you click share, it will create a share link here. So if you copy that, if you then provide that link to anybody, they would then be able to open up this in a separate web page. So if I go here and paste that in like that, it will load it simply as the report. So very simple and often a bit more straightforward than saving as a PDF and attaching to an email. Just send that to somebody and they simply get the report as it looks. So the summary report, as we said, really useful for reviewing our actuals versus our budgets. If we scroll to the bottom, we'll see our totals. Remember, the values that we're looking at in here are the net values. VAT is not included in the main body of the report as it's not relevant to our budget lines because VAT will be reclaimed. But we do see the VAT at the bottom so that we can get the overall totals to the match to our bank reconciliation of the actual totals in and out. So some of the other reports that exist in Scribe are under list reports. So we have the transactions report here, which again is really useful. It lists all the transactions that we've entered. So as a default, it runs for all payments for the financial year, but under filter, again, you have lots of options. So you can select to instead view receipts or those payments awaiting authorization if you've used that tick box. And when you're entering in those payments, you can also add in certain cost codes that you want to include or exclude, a minimum value and a date range. So there's lots of options here. So if you need to produce something for all payments for the previous month or all payments for the year over a certain value, then you've got lots of options with how to do that. Again, if you've done anything there, remember to view report to update it. So as we said, there are other reports within Scribe, so you can absolutely take a look at them or take a look at the help videos that cover them. So the VAT and the reserves are dealt with in separate sessions, for example, as is Reconcile All Banks, which again is a really important report. I will just show you that again in here though, because it is so important. It's something that I would recommend that you're taking to your council meetings. So if you are reconciling your bank accounts on a monthly basis, you can then reconcile all banks on a monthly basis. Do have a look at the bank rec video on how to do this, but just to remind you of what it will look like once you've entered in the figures for the relevant month. If we save and next, we get our Reconcile All Banks report, which shows our reconciling bank position to Scribe. So A equals B checks out okay. So again, I'd recommend that is one of the reports you're running on a monthly basis, along with the summary report and that transactions report under list reports as well, to list everything that you have.